Zach, what was kind of the process like in terms of deciding not to redshirt, and what's it been like kind of these last 2 games finally getting out on the court?
The last 2 games have been fun. Obviously, my first college action is fun for anybody. It came in a little different way and a different time than a lot. Everyone's kind of unique, but I know Coach Gard has done a good job of explaining the situation to a lot of you guys. But I just kept playing my role in practice every single day, trying to get my teammates better. The red shirt was kind of when I went to Coach about it. I was kind of on a ready basis if he ever needed me. So when he came to me and said, we might need some minutes out of you, I was ready to go. And I was ready to play and to help any way I can. Especially if Nick's in foul trouble, just providing a little spark off the bench, things like that, is what I'm just looking to do moving forward now.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Nick, I know you just walked in here, but kind of going off that question, just what did you see from Zach? I know we talked a little bit preseason, just at practices to, obviously eventually get a role like this, and just how have you seen him make some of the most of these early opportunities so far?
Yeah, I mean, it just starts with his approach every single day. He coming in ready to work. And, consistency. When you come in ready to work every single day, you'll be ready when your time is or your name is called. So he just stayed ready every single day. And obviously, he had the conversations with Coach. And, you can't go wrong, adding a guy like Zach in the mix. I'm going to be out there to be ready, whenever I need a breather or just sparking the game. Sometimes in the game it gets flat. So you throw somebody like Zach out there, he's going to do some good things and give us that spark. So it's been great to see him step into that role.
Michael, then Ben.
Nick, it was a 20-point win where you didn't really get much help from three-point range at all. I mean, I guess what can you take away from that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, going into Big Ten play, we want to get our defense a little bit, stronger and being in the right spot. So, obviously, when you're not banging in threes, defense becomes more important. So, I'll take away that we were able to guard, as good as we can, and keep growing in that phase of the game. I feel like when you come to conference, it's going to come down to last possessions or a few possessions at the end of the game. So whoever's defense can hold up and get them out of there on the right side usually is happy.
Ben.
Will, you're starting to see your minutes increase here a little bit over these last couple of games. How have these early games, especially against these power schools that you faced, how have they kind of helped your confidence going into Big Ten play?
Yeah, I think it's been huge, like you said, playing some more mid-major opponents. But yeah, it's to get my feet under me and be able to, build that confidence, whatever the team needs. Obviously, I think just like rebounding numbers and stuff, that's kind of being crashing the glass. So, kind of whatever the team needs and building my confidence up. So then when we do play bigger teams like Purdue and coming up with Big Ten play, I'm ready and I'm, whenever coach calls my number. Yep.
Jim in the back.
Nick, this staff is known for being pretty demanding in terms of expecting little things and good habits. For you as a point guard, what's that been like just to kind of adjust to that, and how do you think that relationship is going?
Yeah, I mean, everywhere I've been at, since a kid, coaches always, demand the most out of the point guard. So that's kind of been the standard I've been held to. But, going from school to school, everyone stresses different things. It's different everywhere. You got to adapt to whatever the coach wants. And then, as I get older and older and I keep growing my game, I expect and demand things for myself as well. So you just got to find that balance. So it's just been, it's been fun. And it's been challenging to just find that balance between, doing what coach wants me to do out there every single night and just trying to get, what he wants done. That's the priority, and then obviously to try to find my teammates and be aggressive myself. So it's just a new challenge each and every game, and obviously a new challenge each and every team. Has been on 3 different teams the past 3 years. So just trying to find that balance. You got to keep growing into that and just stay confident through it all.
Michael.
Well, this team is relying heavily on freshmen. How quickly did you realize that would be the case? And I guess what has the learning curve been like for you?
I think it's been good. I think just being able to learn from like the older guys, Nolan, even Ozzie, who's a sophomore, just being able to take in all the information, right when I got here in the summer, it was really good. Really build my game and expand my game. I didn't kind of know what kind of role I was going to have to start off with, but, I'm always ready. And whenever coach calls my number, I'm ready. And whatever position I'm in, Just being able to learn and grow over time has been really, really good. So, yeah.
Got John up front here, please.
For whoever wants to take it, kind of where do you feel like you guys have the most room still to grow going into Big Ten play? Well, the rest of Big Ten play.
Probably say defense, and just I probably say defense and just competing. You know, like Big Ten play, don't matter who you playing, you're gonna be playing teams that are hungry, want to win. So you got to bring your A game every single night. And I feel like, you know, speaking for myself, that's when I play my best ball. And I know Zach, he's a competitor. You know, he came every day to practice, even when he wasn't gonna get his name called, and brought that juice and that fire. So, you knowing that you got to have it every single day is important. And I think, you know, we got to keep, you know, stressing that as a group. No matter if you're a freshman or a senior, you got to be ready to bump and, you know, get the job done.
Go ahead, Michael, and then John for another one, and then Ben. 3 more questions.
Zach, is there any way to ensure consistency shooting the three, or are games like these bound to happen every now and then?
I think games like these are bound to happen to any shooter, no matter what level you play at. I know one thing is I'm going to keep, you know, shooting the ball whenever I get the looks. I know my teammates have confidence in me. My coaches, you know, tell me to shoot the ball when I'm open. So that's what I'm going to do. And they all felt really good tonight. Like my shot feels like it has since, you know, I've been in 3rd grade. So I've built that confidence just by getting in the gym every single day, and it's what's going to lead me to, you know, to knock down some big shots when this team needs it, because, you know, that might happen.
Let's go John and then Ben for the final question.
Nick, you know, kind of what did you take away from that, you know, dominant start there for you guys, and how difficult is it maybe to kind of keep your foot on the gas sometimes and kind of avoid some of those mental miscues when you've got that lead?
Yeah, I mean, I just took that. It was just positive, you know, coming out. No matter who you're playing, you got to be ready to go. So, whether you're playing, you know, UW-Milwaukee, no knock on them, but obviously it's not the Big Ten every single night. You got to be ready to play, and I was glad that we came out guarding, kind of, you know, being active on defense and communicating as well. So, and then when it comes to the lows, it's just usually attention to detail or not communicating and staying engaged. You know, I feel like for myself, you know, I'm someone who loves to communicate, so when I'm communicating, I'm usually alert. I'm on cue, and then when I'm not, maybe I'm a step behind or let something slip. So just staying, you know, communicating the whole game is important.
Let's go with Ben.
Will, I'll give this one to you. What's it mean to this team when you have a healthy Nolan Winter and John Blackwell on the court? How does this team operate differently when you have those two guys out there?
I mean, I think you see it early in the season. You know, it means everything to this team. You know, they're kind of our 2 leaders along with Nick right now. You know, being some of the older guys in the team. So, you know, having Nolan fully healthy, JB doing what he does, it just really helps his team and boosts his team. Obviously, we play a assortment of bigs, but I think Nolan, especially, you know, he can kind of do it all. Shoot it, put it on the floor when he needs to, and then also on the defensive end. And then JB is JB. You know, you've seen him since freshman year do what he's done. So I think, you know, those 2 guys have been really, really consistent for us, and, you know, we need that going into Big Ten play this next couple weeks.
Obviously, Bart's got a good team, and I thought that watching film. I think they're going to do very well in their league, and obviously to be able to fit this game in, it was the window that we had either last night, tonight, or tomorrow night, and with their league playing games here between the holidays, it was the only window we had to fill once we found out the Big Ten was not giving us a game here in between the holidays. And so it's a credit to them to still want to play the game and do that. And for us, I thought, you know, some good things from different guys. Nolan to be able to gut through. I know ankle doesn't feel the best, but he was able to gut it out and do some good things. And then others that have continued to mature and grow. I thought Kinzinger gave us some good minutes. I thought Garlock did some good things off the bench. Obviously, you always want to shoot it better, but to be able to find other ways to score when you're not raining threes is a good sign. So, and then defensively, I think we've taken some steps. There's still obviously some miscues here or there, which you're going to have, but I think collectively we've taken a more consistent step forward to being the type of defensive team we have to be. We're not there yet, but we're better than we were maybe 30 days ago. So now obviously we wrap up the non-conference and head into league play, restarting that again Saturday night, and get ready for games coming next year.
Nick's got a question, please.
Yeah, Greg, you touched on it a little bit there, but obviously with Zach, some extended minutes tonight, getting the opportunities at point guard. Just what do you like, even if the shot's not falling all the time, we know he's a threat from deep, but just in terms of his playmaking and some of that on-ball defense he showed as well?
Yeah, I think just the defensive ability, I've said before, he's like a little bulldog out there. I thought he did a good job on Dixon, kept him in front of him for the most part. And he just brings he's an aggressive, confident player. And I think that's only going to continue to grow as he gets more and more experience. So I think it's good that it allows Nick to take a breather at times. It allows when Nick has to reset a little bit if we get off track. Zach, we have confidence in Zach that he can, keep us, going in the right direction. But like I said, I just like his competitiveness. I think that's and you can never have enough guys that will scrap and fight and claw tooth and nail on every possession. And he obviously he's going to get better because he's just going to every experience he gets will elevate his game.
A little bit of a two-parter. We didn't see Braden Carrington until deep into the second half. Was that anything to do with the lingering hip injury, or and then also, how do you sort of go about balancing, minutes when you have four guys who have all contributed off the bench as guards, at points this season?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be balanced. It's going to be based on who practices really well, who plays well. I think I have options. And, Braden was just, we were in the rotation of Zach and Hayden and Jack. So I wanted to kind of keep that. I would have liked to got him in a little sooner, but and it may be different the next game. I think that's the one thing with the bench, how it's developed or how it is. It's going to be by committee, and the committee leader may be different every night. So I think it's a good option for us to have. If somebody's playing well, they may play a little more. If they're not playing as well, then I'm still learning that and figuring that out. But he's, as I told him after the game, don't worry about if you're on the scout team, because I can't take the air out of the tires on the scout team and bring everybody over, right? All 10 or 11 guys, or he wouldn't be competitive. So he's an older, experienced guy. He's been around the block. He understands. He's still going to get in there and play and be ready to go. And I think Janicki's in the same realm, that it's going to be different nights, for different reasons. Riding who's been playing well, what matchups are good. If somebody comes out with a hot hand and is playing well, you ride that a little longer. If there's foul trouble, like we had tonight with Boyd getting 2, Kinziger got a little bit more. So I think what I've learned is I have to play them all. I'm gonna mix and match them, and allow them to show me who can be consistently, at the front, and it'll change from game to game based on situation. Who maybe is the first one off the bench, the last one off the bench. As long as they're raising, our level of play when they're in there, that's what I want.
Evan in the back, coach.
To kind of follow up on that, you've gotten 75 points from your bench the last 2 games. What areas have you just seen them grow to, be able to produce like that as of late?
I think the younger guys, Jones, Kinziger, and Garlock, just get more and more confident as they get more and more experience. One of the assistant coaches after the game in our coaches' locker room mentioned, Will he's close to being looking like he shouldn't be out there, and he's as close to looking dynamite. Like, I think he's just scratching the surface, and there's days where it looks like, what the heck is he doing? And then there's moments where he's just a massive, athletic human being. So that's going to do a lot of things, and that's with young players. You're never typically going to get the consistent production and play all the time. So I don't know if that answered your question, Evan, in terms of the younger guys, what I'm seeing, 75 points off the bench. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, we'll take it from wherever we can get it, but we need to, like I said, that's why I've learned that I need to keep this bench deep, and I think the other thing too, it takes the pressure off the guys that are in front of them, but yet it keeps the pressure on them that they have to perform, or they know there's willing and capable bodies coming in, and that their head coach isn't afraid to play them.
In the back, coach.
It's the first time you played Milwaukee in a handful of years. What was the difference in getting them on the schedule? Obviously, it was a back-to-back for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, is this a matchup that could happen more in the future? And what does it mean for this state to have these two face off?
Yeah, I think the last part of your question I'll answer first. I've always said it's good when teams and programs within the state can play each other. And obviously Milwaukee and Green Bay get each other twice. But I think it's good for the state when we can exhibit basketball within it, whether it's our series with Marquette or the Green Bay and Milwaukee. But scheduling and the philosophy and the I don't want to say the algorithm, but the formula that goes into it has changed so much, and it's continuing to change. Obviously, our conference expansion played part of that. Now the whole MTE is kind of fading in terms of you're going to be playing more one-off games, and obviously that's revenue-driven and revenue sources. So I think just the formula of the old, like when I was doing the scheduling 10 years ago, and we consistently play it. Our league has changed. We're playing more games. We have more teams, but also just how you have to build your schedule has changed immensely, and how you're putting that together and the strategy behind it, and how the numbers analytically trying to drive your basically your strength of schedule and those things. So this one it fell where we needed a game sometime between yesterday and tomorrow. We weren't sure because there was discussion within our league that there may be games thrown in Big Ten play between Christmas and New Year's. Obviously, that didn't happen. So when that came out, we held this week until late August, and this game was, I think, the last one scheduled. So just work where they wanted to do it. It's an easy trip for them. They obviously it's important for their revenue too. And I know men's basketball is their number one revenue generator. And having been in that position in the 2 years that we were in Milwaukee, that those games are important. I mean, obviously you compete and you play and you love to see those games. And I know how the feeling is on that side of the floor, that they would crawl here to play. And but also it's important to help subsidize their athletic department too. So there's obviously revenue-driven reasons behind it.
Jim.
Greg, knowing how much you value the little things and fundamental and stuff like that, how do you balance letting Nick be Nick and not managing some of that stuff and, some of the stuff that you probably don't love as much?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question, and I've had to do that with others. I had to do that a little bit with Johnny. Had to do that a little bit with Tanjay. I think when you have somebody that as talented as Nick is, and those other two, and I'm not saying that Nick's going to be drafted like the other two were, but I think you have to find that balance, and the balance may be different every game based on the experience that happens. If it's a silly mistake, or it's a continuously silly mistake, then obviously we need to reset and sit down. And I think Nick he's a competitor. He's as fiery as anybody we have on the team. And so I think that helps him at times just to reset, to refocus. Because obviously when he came back in the second half after I pulled him on the turnover, I mean, he was dynamite. I mean, he just blew the game open. So I'm still learning, what motivates him. The bench does. It motivates him pretty well. But I also, like you mentioned, that's a great point, that you have to balance it specifically with your horses. I live probably with a little more with JB. Allow him to do a little bit more that maybe somebody else with less experience can't get away with. So it's a feel, and like I said, it's not every possession is maybe graded the same based on the day and the flow of the game and where we are. So it's in the intent, I think, behind it too. Are we But he's handled it well, and I think he's always responded pretty well.
We got the best dad ever.
It's me. Sorry, guys.
You're the best dad. It says it on your computer.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Thought maybe you're like married to his daughter or something. Or
Not yet.
Anyway.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Throwing you a hint. All right,
I think
fire away.
Kurt, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kurt.
I'm used to this. Anyway, I'm curious your impressions of sort of the UWM program. I'm not sure how often you're able to tune into Horizon League Ball and ESPN Plus during the weeknights, but seeing what they've done under Bart these last 2 years, and then seeing them tonight.
Yeah, I think I told Bart before the game, I thought just watching them on film, and I know they've had injuries. Hubbard got hurt early. Loveless broke his leg. But they've had other guys really step up, and they had won, 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 prior to coming in here, and the only one was the Indiana State 2-point loss. I think he's done a good job. He's brought some consistency to the program. They've been in the 20-win category every year, and knowing at that level, because like I said, we were there and we understand what that's like. You're playing for those 3 games in March for the Horizon League tournament and trying to win that and getting yourself into the NCAA tournament. So that's I think he's brought stability to it. I think he's done a good job of mixing and matching, and obviously he's got great experience from his time. He's been at Queens twice, I believe. I know he was with Buzz a little bit at Marquette, but I don't know him that well, just in passing. But their teams are competitive, and you watch and you put on the tape, and you watch how hard they play, and that's one thing I reminded our guys of tonight was their ability to offensive rebound the ball. They had 19 last night. That's a play hard stat, and I think that's one thing that we emphasize with our club, that we have to play hard and not, they got 13, which is, probably 10 too many, but that I'll find on film. But Bart's got them playing hard. And then they got some talent. They'll be good in that league. I mean, they're obviously off to a good start, but I think they got enough variation. They got to stay healthy. That's everybody's. I think you have to stay healthy, and I think they've done a good job of withstanding the couple injuries they've had, and now it looks like they've kind of figured out a rotation and guys that are able to help them. So they'll be good in that league.
Okay, we have 2 questions, John and Mike.
Greg, you were mentioning some of the defensive improvements. Kind of where do you feel like there's still the most room to grow defensively for this group?
I think always consistency in transition. I thought that this game, the first half, really how Milwaukee was able to score was to get us in transition, and we got scattered. At times we were good, and then we got scattered and didn't left the rim wide open a time or two. I think that's always when you want to when you're building a defense, you want to make sure you're good in transition and get your defense set. So I think that's always at the top of the priority list. You want to be better in transition, and some of that is the result of what happens on the other end. There's a lot of cause and effect. Live ball turnovers, bad shots, that type of stuff will really strain your transition defense. You're getting to the free throw line, you're taking good shots, your floor is balanced when you shoot it, then you're apt to transition a little bit better. So that's always probably the first priority, is to make sure we can set our defense, and that's an ongoing challenge. It's never good enough because it's not going to stay there, right? It's going to continue to ebb and flow, and you want to make sure you get set as many possessions as you can.
Michael, final question.
What do you make about the amount you're relying on this freshman class, and especially this big of a class too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they've done. They're all. I've talked about it a lot. I mean, they're all a little different in terms of their background and where they've come from New Zealand or Lithuania or Middleton or De Pere, but their experiences. Alexis is 20 and he's played on a national world stage, and then some of the things in Europe. Hayden traveled the world, so he has maybe more. He's seen more than the average freshman, walking this campus, and I think that's helped them. I think they've all done some good things. I think Alexis is getting more and more comfortable. Hayden shows what he can do in flashes. His is still playing off 2 feet and slowing down a little bit. And I think Will is just, I don't even know if he's 18 yet. He's just a young pup. He's a big young pup, but he's just a young pup. And I think his ceiling is immense of where he can be. And obviously Zach, you've heard me talk about Zach. I think it's a really good, there's just 4 of them, right? Okay. All right. But I think the thing that makes them good is that there's a balance within them. There's an age difference. There's a maturity. They're all mature. I don't have any goofballs out there in that group. But they all bring something a little bit different. And most importantly, they love playing for the front of the jersey, for different, 2 grew up here, 2, you can't get any farther away than where they grew up. But they understand what this place is about, and that's why they came here. And I think they'll continue to help us this year and moving forward. Okay? For sure. All good?
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody.